Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Founders Grid, sponsored by Gaper.io. Today we have Josh. Josh is the co-founder of Manna. Josh, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Happy to be here.
So, give us a brief background about yourself, what you've been doing before Manna, before starting Manna. Tell us everything, old girlfriends, everything. Let's hear it.
Sure, no problem. Well, I've been a kind of gamer my entire life. And from about the age of 15, I really discovered that I didn't just like competing, though I really do love tournaments, but also teaching and coaching and kind of education. And I always really loved school and did very well with my academics. And I started working as a high school tutor and chess coach to make some money in high school and then throughout college. And then after college, I tutored professionally for a while, and actually am working on a book regarding SAT tutoring, still kind of on the side these days. And I did that for a little over a year and then left to play poker professionally. I wanted to, chase my dream and try and win a big tournament and get that kind of satisfaction as a competitor, not just as a coach. So I played poker for about 3 years. And I noticed that, the more I spent time in the community and the kind of more up the ladder I went, the more people I met who had founded startups or startup investors, something always to do with kind of tech and the cutting edge. And I got very motivated to want to start up a startup myself. And here we are.
Wow, we've hosted more than 400 podcasts, and that's just an amazing story. I'm really enjoying it. I'm really enjoying it. So, Mana, why Mana? What was the aha moment? Were you guys drunk? Were you not able to find food? How you came up with it, the whole idea, the whole concept?
Yeah, so the original idea actually came from my roommate, who also is our CTO and coded every single line in the app. If anyone sees it on the App Store, it's, you got your one-man shop sitting right next to me at our desk. And he actually called me while I was playing poker. And I had recently lost a $4,000 pot, like right before he called me. I mean, he was in my headphones and I told him, oh, hold on, I have to finish this pot real quick and then I can talk to you. So I finished the pot. I'm obviously in a terrible mood and I'm like, oh, what's up? What do you want? He's like, I have this great idea for an app. So So my initial reaction obviously was like, well, I'm a little busy and, I don't really care. And we've been best friends since we were 14 years old. So we've had a lot of ideas in the past. And he started to tell me about the idea. And I would say within 30 seconds, my attitude totally changed. I mean, it was clear to me. So Guy's mom is a private chef. And she's a kosher chef, and also she's lactose intolerant, and many of our clients are vegan. So the way she cooks is very restrictive, but she's an amazingly talented chef. So she just kind of swaps out ingredients, writes them down on notepads, has papers sprawled out all over the kitchen, constantly substituting things out. And initially he was thinking, well, let me find an app that's better for my mom so he could help her. And he looked on the market and he didn't find anything that he thought was doing a good enough job. So he kind of took it upon himself to try making something better. And he reached out to me. I reached out to our CEO and my sister Rachel, who's also our CMO and had a decade of experience in marketing and audience development. And it kind of just all came together.
Wow, interesting. I'm really enjoying it. So what were the early days like? You're still in the early days, but in the tech world, before we come down to the fundraising, it's primarily the product market fit, the UI, the UX, the user experience is the main thing. So in your scenario, we understand that it's your co-founder's mother, right? But then it comes down to the challenge of making her use the app and learning through the experience. So what was that all like, and how was the documentation, everything going through the learning curve?
Yeah, it was quite an experience. I would say when we first started out, we really were just taking a shot in the dark. We thought we had the skills to make something good, and we knew that the idea was good. So we spent the first couple of months being very deliberate in how we ideated, like not just planning, oh, it would be cool if it had this feature, but targeting, trying to figure out what's our audience demographic, what makes sense, what are the existing audience demographics of the competitor apps, where are the pain points in the kitchen. We identified specific things like the ads that are in all the recipes online and scrolling back and forth, and the fact that you have to print it out and then your hands are covered in chicken and you don't want to touch the paper. And we kind of were very deliberate in pinpointing these problems and saying, okay, well, if we're going to make a feature, it better solve one of these real problems. And we just thought of more and more features, probably like 50, 60 features, and then cut, 90% of them down to just like the core few that we thought made sense. And we wanted to make sure that it was very cohesive. So the early days were a lot of, sitting around in our apartment with the three of us or the four of us when our CEO is around, and just saying, okay, like, what do we do next? How, we need a UI designer. How do we find one of those? Like, who do we reach out to? None of us are UI designers, nor are we, headhunters for designers. So where do we start? And everything was very gradual, kind of one step at a time, always learning to fly the ship as you built it.
Got it. Makes sense. Fundraising, during pandemic.
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, well, our fundraising story is pretty interesting. We initially were not planning, ultimately ended up crowdfunding on WeFunder, and we've had a great experience. We initially were not planning on doing that. Our CEO is a serial CEO. He has 40 years of experience being a CEO for a number of companies. So we kind of took his network, though it wasn't a food-centered or even food tech-centered network specifically. We were like, he has a very strong network. We'll go the traditional fundraising route. And things were looking very promising. And then right before we were kind of figuring out what we were going to do, the pandemic hit, and all food tech investors, food is one of the industries that got hit the hardest. A lot of these people are restaurant owners, or, they invest in restaurant groups, and their portfolios got crushed. Yeah. So we kind of thought on the fly. We're like, okay, well, we're too far along. At that point, we had already had our app go through alpha and through beta with our test audience, and we were pretty close to getting something ready for the App Store. And we're like, we're too far along to just say, oh, well, this didn't work out. So what's the plan B? And I spoke to a friend of mine from college. His roommate worked at WeFunder. I was like, let me give it a shot. And ultimately, it made a lot of sense for us. We're a community-driven app. Our app focuses on user-generated content and social interaction. So we're like, okay, let's see if we could both get users from the community and get funded by the community. And it was, I'm very glad we did, and now here we stand.
Nice. Last question, because, we keep our podcast like very focused, very short and very fast kind of thing, right? So last question, there has been a lot of talk happening recently around COVID, with the mental health of the team and the stress and the startups. So how are you guys managing it? How are you able to separate? I understand one of your co-founder is a best friend and the other is a sister, right?
Yeah.
So how are you able to maintain the work and the personal relationship balance, as well as taking care of all the mental health and everything? So how are you able to do that?
Yeah, that's a really great question, honestly, because I think it's a huge challenge, and it's something that really doesn't get discussed enough. The baseline thing that's really helpful for us is we all enjoy spending time together. And, my best friend is like, it's like a second family to us, and our CEO is his father. So we really are like a family business. The separation between kind of work and your regular life is tricky when you're working 100 hours a week, and you're all, both my work and my relaxation are here from my computer. This is my entire environment. There are a few things that I think are really helpful. Number one is just like good communication, like being honest if one of the other co-founders is in a bad mood and having a bad day, not waiting for them to tell you that they're having a bad day. You inform them that that's how they're coming across. And that can be a little bit awkward, but it's really important, because if someone's in a meeting and they're irritable and the meeting's over, you have to be like, hey, you're irritable. I understand we're all stressed, but we can't do that. We have to work on that. And then other things I think are about just good habits. Meditation is a really big part of my life. It's something I got interested in when I was playing poker, because the stress is just so high going into tournaments all the time. And I really wanted to kind of make sure I was at my mental best. So I meditate almost every morning, and I, even less formal practices, like forgetting meditation as a formal practice, just sitting with your eyes closed and relaxing, and just reminding yourself that it is okay. And then at the end of the day, like, it is so stressful, and you always, oh, is our business going to survive? And then you, oh, wow, are we going to be the next big thing? And there's all this pressure all the time. But just reminding yourself that you did this to do something fun and original, and to do something unique with your time, and that we're really lucky and just privileged and blessed to be where we are. And yeah, I think a lot of just kind of positive attitude and a positive environment goes a really long way.
Great. Josh, thank you so much for being on the show. I really loved the episode. We're going to talk for at least another half an hour, but my marketing team, they just cut them off. So thank you so much for being on the show. Take care of yourself and all the best with Manna.
Thank you, Mustafa. I appreciate it.